Hello YouTube friends, Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today I want to speak with you about six things that I think every fish keeper should have on hand. And these are things that I've picked up over the years, and they've come in handy. And I'm going to go and just jump right into the list. And I certainly appreciate you tuning in, and be sure to put your comments below. If you think of things that I failed to mention that you think every fish keeper should have, post it below. We all learn from each other, right? All right, let's get right into it. So number one, I think that you should have a good combination of meds. And here's one example, a very large container of API General Cure. And I also keep Furon. I also keep Ick Attack, and a few other meds on hand. If it's the, it's after the local fish store has closed, you don't have access to meds, and you need them, it's one of those things where when you need them, you need them. And if you have to go out hunting for them, you're going to have, your fish are going to become progressively more and more distressed and more ill the more you allow time to go by. So have some meds on hand. Certainly some antibiotic type meds, and some ick type of things, and possibly some Maricin, or maybe an all spectrum gram negative type of medication in case you are unlucky enough to run into some Colomaris, something that is very aggressive that can go after your fish rapidly. So definitely have some meds on hand. Number two is spare parts. If you watched my last video about the fluval valve failure, certainly having spare valves, the kind of parts that after spending some time in the hobby, there are certain things that can go wrong. This can include impellers. It can certainly include valves. I've had this fail. I've had the purge valve fail on my fluval. So having some of these parts on hand, and certainly if you can, if the budget allows, have a backup canister. Something inexpensive that is just laying around that you can call into duty rapidly in the event that something has broken or a motor has burned out or something like that. So a spare canister would be ideal, but certainly some spare parts. Another good thing about having a backup canister is you can cannibalize, and let's say you have a, just as an example, a Sun 704B, and something goes on with one of the hose connecting valves or something, and you have another one. You don't necessarily have to bring the whole canister into use and transfer all the media over. You can simply take that one part off, so you can cannibalize the other canister until the new part comes. So spare parts is number two. Number three is timers. I really love these timers, and I'll tell you why. You can use them to control power heads. You can use them to control your lights. They have power strips that have timers for each of the plugins. I think those are kind of fancy. They can be a little expensive. You can pick these up at hardware stores very inexpensively. They're not, they're not super accurate. They're not going to be like, within 1 minute per year, like a Rolex watch or something. So, every now and then you do have to adjust them, and you adjust them when there's, daylight savings time, that kind of stuff. But worth their weight in gold. You don't have to worry about putting lights on or off, or if you're running late somewhere, your aquariums will go on and off the way they're supposed to. Your power heads will go on and off the way you want them to. So definitely a timer, okay? Number four, I'm a big advocate of having these mesh bags. And they come in different, what they call micron sizes. You can get them where the holes in them are pretty large, and you can also get them where they're actually very, very fine, depending on what you're putting into them. I like them because you can put media in them, and the media can be dropped into your hang-on back filter, or into your canister. And then when you need to do some maintenance, you just pull the whole bag out, and it could be full of rings or whatever it is you're using, matrix, whatever, and give it a few dunks in some tank water back into the filter. So they make cleaning very, very easy, and you can have some finer ones like this. Let's say you want to add some charcoal to a filter after you've done some medication. So you would use you'd use something a little bit finer like this one, and with some Seachem maybe some matrix charcoal or some activated charcoal. And this one came with some bio balls in it, bio balls that have sponges inside of them. They're made by CNZ. I use those in my filters, but again, a different size mesh, different applications. I love these mesh bags. Have a few of them around. They come in very, very handy. Number five on my list, have a spare heater. Especially this giant monstrosity is an Eheim Jaeger, 300 watts, made in Germany, which is the only Eheims you want to buy, not the ones that they outsourced. This one's made in Germany, so but definitely have some backup heaters, especially if you live in cold climates, because a heater failure could mean a lot of difficulty or distress for your fish. If you keep your fish in a garage outside of the house, away from the central heating system, heaters can mean life or death for your fish. So definitely have some spares. Ideally, just as a bonus tip, have your heaters on a controller, and that way you're not going to bake your fish. I've heard so many stories over the years of people who baked their fish because the thermostat malfunctioned in the heater. It kept heating the tank, took it up to over 90, 95, 96, and next thing you know, you have a bunch of baked fish. So with a controller that you can pick up, get a good heavy-duty controller. You plug your heater into that, and the controller has its own sensor. When it notices that the water is at a certain temperature, it shuts the power off. So the heater can't keep cooking your fish. Okay, good idea, especially if you have some stock in there that are expensive, that you love. Certainly people who have $400 or $500 in fish, $50 to $100 controller is a good investment, okay? And my last tip for you, my number 6, is go to a hardware store and pick up some of this stuff. This comes in big strips. It comes in, 2 or 3 feet by 4 or 5 feet long. You can cut it easily. It breaks. You can cut it easily with a cutter, and you can make it. Make it any shape you want. I built a platform for my automatic top off that I have in the sump below this tank. I also use this as a tank divider in my 30-gallon, which is saving the life of my Buccochromis spectabilis as we speak, because the dragon blood would have loved to have keep beating on him. You can't do that now because I was able to put a divider in. It's very inexpensive. It's a fluorescent light ceiling diffuser, and you can pick them up pretty much any hardware store. Certainly your big box stores like your Home Depot, places like that have it. Pick up a piece of it and you'll be surprised at how many applications you can use it for. And so those are my six tips of things I think you should have on hand. I know there's more. I could probably give you 20, but go ahead and you list the ones that you think below in the comment section. Do comment. Remember, we all learn from each other, and the stupidest fish keeper is the one that thinks they know it all. Okay, so share your comments below. Be sure to hit that bell right here. Hit it once, twice, and sub if you haven't already. And I thank you so much for stopping by, and visit on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific for Cichlids and Coffee, the live stream. And that's most Sundays. I probably will not do it during holiday weekends, but most Sundays. And I appreciate you stopping by there as well, and all the other good stuff like sharing, rating, and all that. All right, that's it for me. Thank you. Goodbye.